This is the flag of the United States of America. We sing of it in our national anthem. See the broad stripes and bright stars. Each stripe represents one of the original colonies. One represents Maryland. That's the state where I was born. Maryland was founded as a safe haven for people of my faith, Catholics. Catholics who were not welcome in the other colonies could find a home in Maryland. And another stripe represents New Jersey. That's where I've lived most of my life. In New Jersey, women had the right to vote in 1776, just the same as men. And there's another stripe for Pennsylvania, where I went to college. That's where the Declaration of Independence and Constitution were written. And there are others, 13 in all, each with its own unique history, perspective, and culture. Each with representatives who would pledge their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor to stand against the greatest power of their day, united in the cause of liberty, each accepting as self-evident the truths that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the bright stars, each representing a state in the Union, starting with 13 and adding more and more over the years until now, a total of 50, each with its own history, but each choosing freely to join the Union of States. Places like Florida, that was originally a Spanish colony, and Louisiana, that began as a French colony, and others like Texas, that declared itself an independent country before joining the Union, and other places like Kansas and Nebraska, Michigan, Colorado, Utah, California, and last of all, Alaska and Hawaii, each with its own special history and heritage, people and culture, but all united by a philosophical belief that governments are instituted among men to secure rights which they have been endowed with by their Creator, and the governments derive their power from the consent of the governed, that government serves the people, that the people do not serve the government. This is the flag, flown by the Patriots in the bitter cold of Valley Forge, borne by that ragtag band as they crossed the Delaware River and surprised the Hessian mercenaries at Trenton, New Jersey on that Christmas morning some 200 years ago. This is the flag that Francis Scott Key saw flying over the port of Baltimore in the twilight's last gleaming and in the rocket's red glare, and most surprisingly, in the dawn's early light, seeing that, yes, indeed, despite the perilous fight, that our flag, this flag, was still there. This is the flag that was carried by those Union troops at places like Gettysburg, consecrating the very ground by their blood, giving their last full measure of devotion in their desperate battle to ensure that government for the people, by the people, and of the people should not perish from the earth. This is the flag that was raised by those faceless soldiers over Mount Suribachi in that iconic photograph from World War II, and more recently by the first responders atop the remains of the fallen World Trade Centers on 9/11. This is the flag that is flown at half-staff in honor of countless American heroes, and draped over the coffins of those who have risked all in her defense, then meticulously folded, with only the stars now visible and presented to their families. This is the flag that was draped over my grandfather's casket. My grandfather, who had served in the Italian army before emigrating to the United States, and then taking up arms against the land of his birth in World War I, was gassed and taken prisoner by the Germans. My grandfather, who said, "This is my country now. This is the country I fight for." This was his flag, folded carefully, with only the stars showing, and presented to my grandmother at his funeral. This is the flag that was draped over the casket of my Uncle Joe, who braved the cold of Korea and the guns of the communist North Koreans and the communist Chinese in defense of his country, folded up, with only the stars showing, and presented to my Aunt Bernadette in honor of his service. This is the flag that was draped over my Aunt Marie's casket. My Aunt Marie, who served in the Women's Army Corps during World War II, carefully folded up and presented to my Uncle Pete, with only the stars visible in that blue field. This is the flag of the United States of America, representing our republic, a symbol to all the world of what we are, stars bound together by those mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land. States united in the cause of freedom and the notion that we serve no man, but elect men to offices defined by law with limited powers to serve us. We the people, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But there are those who do not understand this flag, nor the republic for which it stands. People perhaps from foreign lands who we failed to instruct, or from our own country who we failed to educate. Perhaps they've never known anyone who has served this country, and they've never seen the flag draped on a hero's casket. Perhaps they've spent their lives in academia, dreaming dreams behind the curtain of freedom, grasping for unattainable utopias, that if only they were possible, there would be less need of heroes fighting and dying for the cause of freedom. Perhaps they have forgotten our founding philosophy, questioning the truths we hold as self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Perhaps in rejecting the Creator, they find no basis for the rights our fathers fought so hard to secure, and see our flag as a symbol of oppression, as the very freedoms we hold dear lead to a certain inequality of distribution of material wealth, an injustice they view as more important for the government to correct than for the government to focus on the reason for its institution, namely, the securing of the rights with which we have been endowed by the Creator. Maybe they dream of a leader smarter than the rest of us, who can establish justice and deliver us from our divisions, uniting us all as one people like some great king of old, with no more need for states or Congress or courts. Maybe they see no more need for the bright stars on our flag. This is the flag that flew over the Democrat Party headquarters in Lake County, Florida. See how the stars have been replaced by a man's face? No longer are there states united in the cause of freedom. This is not the flag of one nation under God. There is no republic for which this flag stands. This is something different. One nation united not in the cause of freedom, but in the service of one man. There are no separate states with separate peoples and histories. Just 13 original colonies and one man. And it is the dream of many in our nation. Celebrities, academicians, and politicians, even some of those elected and appointed to our government who have sworn to defend our Constitution. But this is not the dream of our fathers, who wish to preserve the blessing of liberty for themselves and their posterity. No. This flag represents their greatest fear, that the United States should abandon the cause of liberty, the division of powers, and the independence of the states in favor of a powerful central government dominated by one man. To we who honor the flag of the United States and the republic for which it stands, this flag is an affront and an offense, a desecration of something sacred. What is frightening is not so much that there are those who would dare to place a man's face on the flag and shrug it off as a work of art and not a desecration, but that those who would replace the stars of our flag with a man's face, that they should be so surprised and confused that we should find the act offensive. We have much to do if we are to rescue the party of Thomas Jefferson from itself and the nation from those who, in their ignorance of our history, our founding philosophy, and all the things that have made our flag a symbol of freedom and hope to the whole world, who would fundamentally transform the United States of America into something less noble, less great, and less free. Folks, it is not about voting. Those who place their faith in one man, in the end, they don't leave matters to a vote. We need to be a light to those who have forgotten just who and what we are and have always been. Should the torch of freedom and the stars of our flag go out, we have only ourselves to blame. For those who would put out the stars don't know what they are doing. And we have failed to explain it to them. Spread the news. Tell them about our country, our flag, the philosophy on which our nation was founded, our republic, and of the Creator who endowed us with our rights. Let them know what it is they are risking. Do not disparage and do not ridicule. These are the tactics of the enemy. We do not seek to defeat enemies, but to convince friends. Take courage, stand firm, and explain with boldness. Tell them of the truths which we hold to be self-evident. Awaken the cause of freedom in the heart of each American, and let that star-spangled banner still wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.